I'm going to stick up for Nuno for a second because, well, in his defense, he had, right, Tanganga suspended, whatever, but he had Dyer coming back from injury. He had, obviously, Lo Celso and Romero just returned. Somebody I'm forgetting is missing in the middle, was missing in the middle of the park. He played a lineup which, to me, didn't look to be set up to be all physical and defensive because you had the front three, you had Ndombele and Ali, who, let's face it, they're not defensive midfielders, right? They went for it. What could he have done differently apart from Jules' set piece marking points?
I'm not sure he could have done much different.
And within that, can you talk about Kane too? Because it looked like I couldn't quite understand where he was. But it looked at times like Heung-min Son was playing center forward.
It's not. It looked like it was.
And Kane was like a spare midfielder.
Kane and Lo Celso were two inverted number 10s, basically, playing inside. Well, that's what it was.
I think Kane, it was just his frustration at not getting much of the ball. I think he went looking for the ball because he was frustrated at the lack of service. That's what all good strikers do when they're looking for an opportunity. They get frustration, they drop deep. On Nuno, I don't think he could have done much more, but I think the issue with Nuno is that I don't think the players are really buying into him. I think if you're a Tottenham player, you've had a downgrade from the previous match or not, he's a downgrade.
You're a big Ryan Mason fan, huh?
Well, yeah. How does Nuno inspire that team? They've come back from the summer break knowing that the best player wants to leave. Now, he stayed, but I'm sure Harry Kane was thinking that I've come back to Tottenham and they brought in Nuno, who had an average season at Wolves last year. They've really, really messed up the appointment of a manager. They went for the big names, for Pochettino, for Conte. People at the club I'm told wanted Graham Potter to rip it up and start again. And then they ended up with Nuno, who, if you're a Tottenham player privately, do you think that Nuno is going to make you a better player? Are you looking at his record at Wolves thinking, this guy's going to make me a better player, us a better team? I just don't see it. And I think the players are probably looking at Nuno thinking, I'm not very inspired by this. In many ways, it's a bit like when Man United appointed David Moyes. The players are looking at the guy on the touchline thinking, I just don't buy into him at all. Just don't think he's good enough.
I want to get more into the Nuno argument, and we're going to do that on the Gab and Juls podcast. So make sure you download it. I do want to say this though before we go on. Hey, Jules, this stuff about the players need an inspiring manager. I don't want excuses. You're playing in the Premier League. You're paid a lot of people. You're playing in one of the most inspiring stadiums in the ground.
Yeah.
I appreciate what you're saying, Augie, and we will talk more about it. That cannot be an excuse for certain performances.
I agree.
Augie, I feel like I need to give you a right of reply because you'll no doubt disagree with my point.
You're a Nuno hater anyway.
Well, but I'm sticking up for Nuno here.
So
I feel like you guys are Nuno haters more than me.
Augie is a Nuno hater.
I'm not a fan of Nuno, as you know, because of his background and whatever. But with Mendes, by the way, people are like, well, what are you talking about? No, it's because of the whole Mendes thing and whatever. But he's got a point. Like, whether you're inspired or not, these are professionals. I expect to be inspired, right?
I think there's more to it than that. I think, you look at what Thomas Tuchel's done at Chelsea. They're now European champions, one of the favourites of the Premier League, because he's a coach that knows what he's doing. He's got a plan, he's got a track record, and the players at Chelsea have bought into that. They're inspired by him. Go back 9 months, that same squad, literally the same squad, was drifting along under Frank Lampard because they didn't buy into Frank Lampard. And I think that at Tottenham, it's the same thing with Nuno.
Okay, sorry, Augie, sorry if I jump in, right? But I think there's an important difference here, which is that, first of all, when Tuchel arrived, there were certainly some Chelsea players who were happy that Lampard was gone, and some Chelsea players who had worked with Tuchel before. But equally, I think the rank and file Chelsea player was like, ooh, who is this guy? Oh, this is the dude who, he reached the Champions League final, but he's just been sacked by Paris Saint-Germain.
Do you think
where you have to be?
No,
well, no.
I don't buy that.
Look, what I'm saying is, as I understand it from the
reputation.
Chelsea end, it's not like Tuchel came in with this aura where all of a sudden Pep Guardiola had rolled into town.
No,
I think Tuchel won the players over with the way he worked.
Yeah,
now,
from day one.
From day one.
Yeah.
Now, okay, but fine. But Nuno is in a slightly different situation because Tuchel had all the players from day one. Nuno, you had signings that were made late. You had the whole Kane nonsense. All I'm saying is
some circumstances. For sure.
He's got extenuating. So compare him with Tuchel straight away isn't necessarily fair.
Look, if you're a big sick club, you should be an elite player. Elite players need elite coaches, and I think you can tell when a squad of players aren't buying into the coach. Nuno at Tottenham reminds me a little bit of David Moyes at Man United. You can just sense that the players are looking at him thinking, this guy is not at our level. He's not at the level of this club. And it permeates through the squad. Whereas at Chelsea with Tuchel, I think even though what you're saying is he came having been sacked at PSG, he's still on a track record of, being one of Europe's elite coaches, highly rated coach. He's worked with top players in the past. I think that the Chelsea players would have known that this guy was a top coach. Nuno, I really don't know what he's done to earn the Tottenham job.
Right. It was not first choice anyway. But Nuno has a plan. Like Tuchel had a plan when he arrived at Chelsea. It's just a different plan. He's got a different philosophy. They're going to be hardworking, very well drilled, well structured. Whether you like it or not, this is what he does. He's not going to change this team into playing amazing one-touch football and creating overloads on the wings. No, this is not what he does. But I spoke to Dele Alli after the game, and he said, people cannot expect a quick fix to our team. It's going to come back very quickly to where we were before, he said, just because we won the first 3 games of the season. That was misleading, those first 3 games. The City performance is a good collective, solid strength, like inspired and with a lot of hard performance.
Isn't that kind of language? It's almost like players looking for excuses. We've got a new manager, we've got a new coach, you need time to bed in. It's rubbish. So, players always look for an excuse. And it's always, we need time to work. You don't hear players at the top club saying that. The best players, they just get on with it. And
I don't know. I think this is another transition.
I just look at Tottenham and think that Tottenham need a leader, a proper manager, a proper coach who will bring those. Got to get Kane on side. You've got to get Kane happy. And I really don't think that Harry Kane went back to Tottenham. There's some thinking, great, I'm working with Nuno, having wanted to go. He could have worked with Guardiola. It's not. If you're Harry Kane, you want to be working with a coach who's going to make you better, make your team better.
But where I don't agree with you, Oggy, is that everybody who was part of the decision of appointing Nuno knew this anyway.
Of course.
And
they went for 10 other guys, and for one reason or another, they didn't get them, and they ended up with Nuno.
Yeah, so you get Nuno, and you know that it's not going to be fantastic football, but you just stick with him and just have faith in what he's trying to do.
But the thing is, Jules, and you know what Tottenham's like? Tottenham is a club where, and people will laugh at this, it's a bit like the West Ham way of playing. Tottenham fans like to play a certain way. And if they're not winning, no, but listen.
In what way? Under who?
Exciting football. If they're not winning.
When did they play that?
No, listen, under Harry Redknapp, under Pochettino, football that got the fans excited. Now, if they don't win something, at least they're being entertained. Under Nuno and under Mourinho, they're not being entertained and they're not going to win anything.
Can I point out
what's the point of Nuno? It's more like no than Nuno, because what is he going to bring?
All right. Good. Hey, to be fair to Tottenham, they've had managers like George Graham as well. So this whole the Tottenham,
and they hated him. They didn't like him.
But that's fine.
His name.
I think Daniel Levy, if there's one thing he knows, it's Tottenham. So evidently, he doesn't necessarily. He thinks that if they start winning, they're fine, and people will embrace that. I also think, as far as Nuno's concerned, much as I said, I don't like him, and I don't like Wolves, the Wolves ownership and what's been allowed to go on there. He got Wolves fans excited in his first 2 seasons. They were playing.
They were a very good counter-attacking team, but that's it.
No, that's fine. I'm not saying the second coming. So I'm not saying Nuno can't do that. And I also feel a little bit what you said before about elite players need elite coaches. Well, first of all, I'll refer you to one of the 3 teams that's top of the table right now, and that plays in red, and that isn't Liverpool, and that there's an endless debate about whether that's an elite coach. But all these elite players. Spurs, I'm kind of wondering, who are you talking about? What elite coaches has Sergio Reguilón had? What elite coaches has Romero had? Right? Did very well at Atalanta with Gasperini. Right? He's now an elite coach. Yeah, but that's fine. But he wasn't an elite coach when he walked through the door.
No.
Right? Who has Nombele worked with? Right? Højbjerg, maybe when he was a Bayern as a kid. Other than that, I love Hasenhüttl. I think Hasenhüttl deserves a better job. But, until these guys get there, nobody's an elite coach, right? And these elite players, who are they? Who? Son and Kane, right? Who are these other elite players that are, Hugo Lloris, you're going to say, won a World Cup. Yeah. Oh, who's his coach?
He's an elite player. Don't get me started. Okay. He's an elite player.
Yeah, but guys.
With Didier Deschamps, right? Speaking of elite coaches. Sorry, go ahead, Joe.
If Dele Alli was working for Jurgen Klopp or Pep Guardiola, I reckon that he would be a player that was realising his potential because he was working with an elite coach who would get the best out of him. I think
you
certain
don't
players.
Oh,
yes, and if I had a helicopter, I'd get home quicker.
Yeah.
He's not working with them. I mean, you can't just say elite coach. It's got to be
don't
Pep
know
or
either.
Klopp.
There's some elite players who played with those coaches who didn't actually fulfill their potential either. It's just
Absolutely.
I think
so.
that.
Absolutely.
I think this is transition for Nuno and for Spurs. He might not be the right guy, and he might be gone in January or even before that. He might stick, and something can come good out of it. I don't know. Dele Alli said yesterday they were positives about the performance against Chelsea. I was like, all right.
45 minutes, they worked hard. You don't go out on the pitch and play like that.
No, fine.
No, but I'm saying is you don't do that for a manager you don't like or don't respect. Or it's harder. You often don't do that.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
That shows that they bought into the thing. They understood the situation.
I just don't know how long that can last.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.